Can we talk about Dave Rubin for a second? Widely known as being one of the dumbest people that works in media. I couldn't see this on his Twitter because he blocked me a long time ago. And you know what? Now that I think about it, it was years ago. Because it was when he was doing propaganda for the far right in Brazil and he called Bolsonaro Bolsonaro. Anyway. Okay. So I saw this clip when I was watching the Majority Report, and they were talking about Dave Rubin and his criticisms of the CFPB and defending the Trump administration going after the CFPB. And before I get into the clip and before I go over what the CFPB actually has done for the American people, I just want to point out first, though, that we need to talk about or have a separate conversation about how misogynistic a lot of gay men are. Okay, I am a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and I've spent a lot of time around different people in the community. And something that I have noticed over time is that there is a huge contingent of incredibly misogynistic, sexist gay men that get away with it because they hide behind their other marginalized identity of being gay men, which is cringe as fuck. Because so many of the people that were for gay rights before gay rights were considered something that most people supported were women. But so many of them fucking hate women. Anyway, so he's going after Elizabeth Warren, who was the creator of the Consumer Financial Protection Agency, the CFPB, in the most misogynistic way. And I don't even like Elizabeth Warren, okay? But there are ways to criticize her without being a fucking sexist piece of shit. And it's just amazing though. But he's got to pander. He's got to perform for his right-wing base. They demand it. They demand the misogyny. And he always has to go out of his way to be extra hateful because he knows that the right wing doesn't really accept his gay identity. So he deflects that by attacking people for their identities.
Let's jump over to Elizabeth Warren because she's an interesting lady. Now, she loves murdering babies. That's the main thing about her.
Now, they pointed this out on the Majority Report, which is where I got the clip because, like I said, Dave Rubin blocked me. And they're right to point out that he has his 2 children through in vitro fertilization and a surrogate because he likes to keep this on the DL, but he is a gay man. Now, he's doing what the right wing loves to do, and they've done for decades and decades. It's how I was raised. It was one of the reasons why I was told my whole life that Democrats were so evil because they were all baby killers. But it's funny because if you had your kid through in vitro, through surrogacy, does Dave Rubin not realize how a lot of the extreme right wing feels about in vitro and surrogacy? Does he not realize that a lot of really right wing extreme evangelical Christians look at those embryos as full people? So when you got rid of the embryos that you didn't end up using, they consider that murder. You might want to be careful with that, big boy.
Because Trump is shutting down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is a bureau that she helped create back in 2011 to make sure that people weren't being screwed over by banks. Again, the intentions.
You can't have that.
Democrats. The intentions are always good. Did the agency do anything? Is it functional? Is it a giant slush fund? Well, we're trying to figure that out. But she's very upset.
I need you guys to really understand the reason why they're going after this agency. And it's because of the fact that they work on behalf of the rich and the 1%. Like, just understand that. They work on behalf of the 1%, the corporations, the banks, the oligarchs. Like, I need you to get that. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, just a quick search if you don't know what it is or what it does. This is just 5 things that they have done for regular Americans. Number 1, enforcement against Wells Fargo. The CFPB ordered Wells Fargo to pay more than $2 billion to harm consumers and $1.7 billion in fines due to violations in several product lines, including auto loans and mortgages, after uncovering practices like opening unauthorized accounts. This kind of shit happens all the time. I would like for a single one of you to tell me, I don't care what your quote-unquote ideology is, do you like being screwed over by banks? Let's not forget the reason why the CFPB was started was after the financial collapse in 2008. Some of you really need to educate yourself on this history, because if you don't understand why the CFPB was put there in the first place, then you will easily be taken in by these charlatans who are on the payroll of the rich and the 1%, telling you that actually the one agency that was set up to protect you from getting scammed by big banks needs to go away. It's literally defunding the police on Wall Street. That's what it is. The CFPB is a regulator of the big banks. And they're like, why don't we defund the police? Why don't we defund them? Because if there is something that the rich and the 1% hate more than anything, it is any type of regulation or policing on white-collar crime. They crack down on junk fees. Tell me, a single one of you, I want you to tell me if you are in favor of any of these things. The CFPB has directed banks to refund approximately $140 million to consumers for illegal junk fees, surprise overdraft fees, double dipping in non-sufficient funds fees. The initiative led to many financial institutions eliminating non-sufficient fund fees, saving consumers an estimated $2 billion annually. That's you, boo. Are you a regular person? Are you a regular person with a bank account who has ever been screwed over by a junk fee, or maybe somebody at Wells Fargo's who got screwed over with them creating fake bank accounts? Action against Citibank for discrimination. The CFPB required Citibank to pay $25.9 million in fines for consumer redress for intentionally discriminating against Armenian American credit card applicants. This action protected consumers from discriminatory practices and ensured that they received the compensation for the harm caused. I don't think a single one of you would like that. Nah, I don't think you would. That's why when Mark Zuckerberg pretended not to know what the CFPB was when he was on Joe Rogan, and then pretended like they were debanking people, which is the opposite of what they do. They protect people from banks. Mark Zuckerberg just isn't like that because he wants to be able to do banking through Facebook with zero regulation. Penalties and refunds from payday lenders. The CFPB has taken action against companies like TitleMax for violating consumer financial laws, specifically the Military Lending Act, by charging high interest rates. These actions have resulted in millions in consumer relief and civil penalties being returned to affected consumers. Do you understand that they want to screw you? The elites like Dave Rubin, and the people that are defending going after the CFPB, they want to screw you. They hate regular people, and they just lie because they think you're not going to check about what this agency actually does. And then they do upside down world. They pretend like Mark Zuckerberg did, who's a giant fucking liar because he knows what the fuck the CFPB is, okay? They lie and they say the opposite of what it does. So they say that the CFPB is just wasting your money. It's a slush fund. It's debanking you, when it was literally there to go after greedy motherfuckers and banks who are fucking you over. Who the fuck wants to be screwed over by a payday lender? Through the Civil Penalty Fund, the CFPB allocates money for consumer relief when victims cannot be fully compensated directly by the violators. It has been used to support consumer education and financial literacy programs. Primarily, it's aimed at compensating consumers harmed by violations of consumer financial protection laws. These actions all reflect the CFPB's commitment to ensuring financial institutions treat consumers fairly and return ill-gotten gains or penalties back to those affected. The CFPB has clawed back over $22 billion for regular Americans who have been harmed by these types of scams. People that have been harmed by being sold fake identity theft protection and shit. They are lying to you because they want it to be like the wild, wild west again, where banks can do whatever they want to you and you have no redress. I am literally begging regular Americans to stop doing the work of the oligarchs that want to fuck you for them.